Welcome back to the Leftover Lies. This is our second edition of this type of concept on the channel. This is where I'm going to be breaking down some super interesting, wild TikToks and Instagram posts that I didn't get the chance yet to cover on any of the Rabbit Hole Roundup episodes or Hard Truths episodes. Hence, we have the leftovers, which everyone loves leftovers, especially if it's good food or good concepts. Good rabbit holes. So for any of you guys who are interested truth seekers, who like all this type of content, you guys are going to love this. As I said during my first Leftover Lies episode, the purpose of this is a brief, fun way to look at some rabbit holes, get you guys interested, and then hopefully you guys are also going to tune into my Rabbit Hole Roundup episodes and Hard Truths full videos, where I go even deeper into some of these concepts. On tap for today, we have the evolution hoax, we have Spongebob revealing the truth about the moon landing, what Paramount actually represents and the whole logo and symbolism behind that, Smurfs revealing a homunculus, a Super Bowl admittedly being rigged by one of the players, and so much more. Without further ado, let's dive right into the Leftover Lies second edition. Subscribe to the channel so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, be sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on this video. Follow me on every platform. So let's dive right in, let's get things started, let's get it poppin', baby. So the first post I'm going to be pulling up is from one of my favorite accounts on Instagram, electric_being, where he posts about the evolution hoax. So now first of all, I'm going to read the caption. So the caption reads, "Evolution is by all definitions exactly pseudoscience and indeed destroyed by common sense and observable reality." So like, for instance, this idea of humans coming from apes is complete nonsense. I mean, how do you have species jumps, but then meanwhile, monkeys and apes still exist? That makes no sense. Furthermore, the cult of scientism is spun to control masses of people. It's important for these spiritual, wicked entities sitting in high places of the world to sever our connections to the Most High, all while hiding our true origins of ourselves and our true purpose of being here. The meaning of life, if you will. We are taught we all evolved from the primordial ooze, a pile of slop from 1 billion years ago, through random chance, as opposed to being created by God in this divine image, with a purpose like for all of us, as opposed to this idea of coming from this big bang which just magically created order through chaos. According to them, we humans are the apex of complete random biological engineering, the chemical lottery winners of infinite space. Of course, there's not a single shred of evidence for this evolutionary theory. No series of chemicals can incidentally spark into life, even in its simplest form, nor have we ever witnessed one animal transform into another. Hence the expression, when pigs fly.
You know, Smithers, I think I'll donate $1 million to the local orphanage when pigs fly.
That's a good one. Hey, will you be donating that $1 million now, sir?
No, I'd still prefer not.
If evolution was indeed the true origin of human life, there would be some verbal or written history that chimes with these theories. However, most civilizations will never reflect a history of evolution but that of divine creation. Being held by nothing but theories, it's self-evident evolution, Big Bang Theory, and dinosaurs are nothing but Masonic theories of speculation, pseudoscience pushed to mislead the masses from recognizing intelligent design. And this is often what I'm talking about when it comes to the reasons why I actually love talking about like conspiracy theories or truths or hard truths, is because when you actually peel back the lies, what you realize is that what's being hidden from us is our own power and how special we really are for being here. And Charles Darwin was actually a well-known Freemason who put together all these lies. So let's dive further into the post.
They never existed. They were invented by Hey, you know how dinosaurs don't exist? They never existed. They were invented by the Royal Society in 1841. Fact.
The class Dinosauria was originally defined by Sir Richard Owen of the Royal Society and Superintendent of the British Museum Natural History Department in 1842.
All dinosaur bones are replicas made by chicken bones from China. True story. And you know why you can't use real dinosaur bones? Because they claim that they're still radioactive because of the asteroid 66 million years ago.
In what was known as the Great Dinosaur Rush, or the Bone Wars, Edward Drinker Cope of the Academy of Natural Sciences and Othniel Marsh of the Peabody Museum of Natural History began a lifelong rivalry and passion for dinosaur hunting. They started out as friends, but became bitter enemies during a legendary feud involving double-crossing, slander, bribery, theft, spying, and destruction of bones by both parties. None of them once claimed to find a complete skeleton either, so all their work involved reconstructions. In fact, to this day, no complete skeleton has ever been found.
You hear that? No complete skeleton has ever been found, and I believe that all the bones that get shown to us are actually either dragon bones or giant bones, not dinosaurs. Dinosaurs were never proven to exist, and we actually didn't even hear them come about until the mid-1800s when the Royal Society started mentioning them as a way of trying to explain away our creator.
So now that you realize the dinosaurs are already an absurd farce. Absurd, guys. When you look into the bone wars and how many of them have been proven false, there is not one single skeleton of a dinosaur that exists in the world. None. The engineers have proven that none of the bodies would work. All the guts would fall out. Like a brontosaurus, stegosaurus. You can't prove the Earth was here 66 million years ago. I'm not saying it was or wasn't, but there's no evidence of anything. None. You can't carbon date fossils. They're stone. There's no actual living anything in them. You can't carbon. No one knows anything about timelines. This is all nonsense. It was invented by the Royal Society in 1841. You can look this up. I know people that have degrees in which they're paying off debt to this day in paleontology. They have whole degrees in things that are lies. It's like those things that you're looking at right there, those skeletons don't exist. They've never found a single skeleton like that. They're all invented.
I believe 20 billion years ago there was a big bang where nothing exploded and produced everything.
Next slide.
4.6 billion years ago the Earth cooled down, made a hard rocky crust. It rained on the rocks for millions of years, turned them into soup, and the soup came alive 3 billion years ago. And this early life form found somebody to marry. Boy, now that's a good trick. And something to eat, of course, and slowly evolved into everything we see today. One professor was getting kind of upset about this time. I seem to do that to them. He said, Mr. Hoven, there are hundreds of varieties of dogs in the world. I said, yes, sir, you're right about that. He said, you mean to tell me that you believe all these dogs came from 2 dogs off a Noah's Ark? You expect me to believe that? Ha, ha, ha. I said, sir, would you look at what you're teaching your students? You're teaching your students that all the dogs in the world came from a rock.
Exactly. Total nonsense.
20 billion years ago.
Extinction of whales.
Next slide. Being also offers some interesting questions for this. He says, if evolution and dinosaurs are real, I have a few questions. 1, there are millions of monkeys and more humans. Where are all the subhuman monkeys? 2, why do monkeys still exist? Did they miss the memo? Or 3, why were dinosaurs never heard of and why weren't any remains found until the 1800s? Someone's obviously lying. And then he finishes this off by saying, anyone who believes these theories of evolution, Big Bang, and dinosaurs haven't really studied the occult. It contradicts everything most people believe today. One of the greatest revelations to know your ancestors weren't monkeys, that you're not an insignificant speck of dust on a spinning ball hurtling at incomprehensible speeds in this vast emptiness of space. Understanding we are the center of creation gives existence meaning. It gives religions their merit, each holding their own esoteric truth. It shows we're not a cosmic accident created by chance. There is an intelligent creator and you are an extension of them. Everything on this plane being stored in the Akasha, what you do matters. So, as I'm always saying, when you realize that every one of us has an intelligent design, we all have a purpose for being here, we didn't just land here by this magic Big Bang, we're not just this insignificant speck of dust in this massive space ball or in this vast emptiness of space where nothing actually makes sense. We're all here for a reason. Our souls are here to learn, our souls are here to gain knowledge, we're here to be extensions of God, to be vessels of God. And so, when you actually realize how special you are, you realize how nonsensical the whole education system is. You realize how this idea of creating a nation of workers rather than a nation of deep thinkers is crazy, and you should never be confined to this prison for your minds. You should allow yourself to expand and to remember who you truly are and your divine purpose for being here. Next up, I want to talk about, did SpongeBob tell us the truth about the moon landing? So, hear me out. This is probably the only place you're ever going to hear this theory spoken about here. But think about this. As we all know, as all of us 90s kids have seen, the famous SpongeBob episode when SpongeBob and Patrick go into Sandy's rocket.
This is Sandy's big rocket, not some kind of fun house.
You started the rocket!
And then what happens? They think they landed on the moon, but what actually happens? The rocket goes up through the water and ends up landing back in the water. So they didn't actually go to the moon. And then later on in the episode, you can see how ridiculous this idea of landing on the moon actually is when Sandy ends up going to the moon, and you actually see this ridiculous rocket just sitting on top of the moon. It may have been SpongeBob and Patrick may have done it. I don't remember for sure.
Sandy, I'm back. Wow. Bikini Bottom sure looks different.
This idea of a spaceship claiming to go to the moon, but then ending up back in the water. And what do many of us truth seekers know when it comes to the whole not a space agency, when it comes to the whole fake moon landings? How all these start off at Cape Canaveral in Florida and Houston, I'm pretty sure also. And then all of them end up taking that same path, that same trajectory of going up and then back down into the water. Whereas the astronauts probably just end up landing somewhere else, as many of us have seen in the movie Capricorn 1, which I would highly recommend watching. For any of you who still believe the moon landing was 100% real, and that how could these people possibly be lying to us? NASA's all about deception. Nasha, to deceive, meaning in Hebrew. Every astronaut is a Freemason. They're all part of these secret societies. It's all about convincing us that there's more land upward as opposed to looking outward beyond Antarctica, beyond the ice walls. But I think that there's definitely something interesting going on when it comes to SpongeBob. Possibly, could be a total coincidence, could be a reach, but I think there might be something to it where how Hollywood is always hiding the truth in plain sight. And so this could be another example of that. This idea of landing on the moon, but SpongeBob and Patrick go to the moon, but end up landing right back where they were. So you guys could decide that for yourselves. I just want to present that as an interesting theory. Interesting rabbit hole to go down. Next up, we have a post from Larry Johnson, former NFL football player, who recently posted a clip of Bubba Smith, another famous football player, talking about Super Bowl III being rigged. Let's watch together.
Somewhere where you said that Super Bowl III.
Hold on, let's line this up properly.
Okay.
Super Bowl III, Baltimore Colts, the power of the NFL, taking out the upstart New York Jets from the AFL. You guys were the biggest favorite in Super Bowl history, right? No way you could lose. You end up losing 16-7. What happened?
Well,
he's talking about this back in 2002 also,
I personally think the game was fixed.
Bubba Smith thinks the game was fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
So Michael and his peers can make the money that they'll make.
Michael Irvin, you made the league better. Is that what you're saying? If you guys lost?
See, if the Jets don't win that game, then they don't have the NFL the way it is today.
Oh, because it was the merger. It was
the merger. That was the third.
How did they fix a game like that?
See, the quarterback.
Yeah.
If you remember, we were inside the 25 times in the first half.
Right.
And come away with no points.
Right.
Interesting.
Which is not a characteristic of a Colt team.
But Colts had the best offense in the league,
said, hey,
and
Bubba,
they couldn't score.
No.
Well, who did they go to?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You trying to get me killed.
But who did? So they went to the quarterback.
9 years later, this guy was found dead. Oh my god, this is crazy. I didn't even realize that part of it.
If you go
according to Larry Johnson,
way
this guy
back
was found dead.
And look at all the Super Bowls when it's Super Bowl week. Now they run every Super Bowl, right?
Right.
Now when you get to 3 this year, when you just happen to be watching it, you'll see Jimmy Orr standing down in the end zone like this. Nobody is within 30 yards of him.
He's waving his hands.
Primary receiver.
For those of you who are listening, One of the receivers was waving his hands wide open in the end zone.
Looked that way.
You're talking about Earl Morrall, your quarterback there. Was there ever a time during the game?
You're really trying hard.
Well, I mean, we can all look it up there. Please don't punch me.
Please do. Don't hurt him.
Did this come to you years later, the day of the game? I mean, 'cause this is kind of serious stuff here that you're throwing out on the table.
No, this was the day of the game.
That you felt that
the
way.
night of the game. The night. You know, I went to what was supposed to be a victory party at Carol's house, Rosenblum.
Right.
And I don't drink. So, you know that term, knock the poison off? You know, so I had 2 sips of champagne. And I was sitting there, and this guy was on the dance floor, and I didn't understand it. We just lost the biggest
And he was
game.
celebrating.
Yeah.
This guy was celebrating after losing the biggest game. One of his
How
teammates.
many times do you get in that position?
Right.
And it just pissed me off. You know, and I went up on the dance floor and I grabbed him and I threw him out on one of those tables and they asked me to leave. You know, and on the way home, on the way back to the hotel, I'm in a cab, and you know how you can look up, and you see the cab driver looking at you, and I said, I looked at him about 3 times before I said anything, and he said, "Are you Bubba Smith?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Man, don't feel bad." He said, "Smart money was on the Jets."
Smart money was on the Jets.
I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "It came down high lead that put your money on the Jets."
So was Earl Morrall driving the cab too?
Okay.
So, as I'm often saying also, like, I don't believe that in order for a conspiracy to be true, and like, in order for a game to be rigged, I don't think every single player has to be in on it. I don't think every single person there knows what's going on. But like, all it takes is, let's just say, a quarterback here or there.
Why can't I be quarterback, huh? You're right. Let's see what you got. Hit me. I'm open. Hi. That's why. Now sit down and shut up.
It takes the refs, obviously.
We can't win with the refs on the payroll.
How about from now on you call a fair game? How's that sound? Sounds good.
It takes some gambling money influencing certain players or the referees, as Tim Donaghy explained when he got caught for fixing games. So, interesting stuff to think about. And I'm not someone who believes that every single moment of every game is scripted, even though there is some compelling evidence when it comes to gematria and numerology. But there's definitely manipulation going on at the very least, and at the most scripting, when it comes to the biggest games at least. Next up, we have Cat Williams on the Joe Rogan podcast. Now, once again, as I spoke about in the past, I'm definitely very skeptical when it comes to Cat Williams being this overall truth teller. I think a lot of these celebrities who are suddenly coming out as truth tellers and then are getting millions and millions of views may actually be gatekeepers who are starting off by telling us some truth but then are misleading us ultimately. But they're telling us some interesting stuff that's going on, even though a lot of us know some of these truths already. Anyways, some of this stuff is definitely interesting to think about. Whether or not these people are truth tellers or not, I'm going to tell all you guys to be skeptical when it comes to any of these celebrity truth tellers who are part of Hollywood and then they're suddenly getting 60 million views telling you the truth, quote unquote. But as long as we know what's going on and as long as we know the truth, then we can decipher for ourselves who to trust and who not to trust. Anyways, let's watch this video. By the way, shout out to my younger brother who sent this clip to me. Interesting stuff.
You're gonna look at the Smurfs a lot differently after this.
Like even the Smurfs story, right? The Smurfs are based on something? Well, religious people would say, oh, you can't watch the Smurfs because it's bad because they have witchcraft and stuff in there. But the whole thing is, it's based on this, the homunculus, the idea that you can create a human life without a mother or a father. So, really? That's what the Smurfs are based on?
Some of this male sends the whole concept of incubator babies back to the whole orphan train situation in the 1800s.
She was the only female of the Smurfs, so.
It's a good question.
Well, it's not a question in the Smurfs. They tell you that Gargamel made Smurfette. But, you know, in somebody's history, I don't want to say what race of people or group of people it is, but in somebody's history, you know, there was this homunculus thing.
Like a genetically engineered human?
Life form.
Creature.
Right.
Whoa.
And so, you know, it's spoken of in history very sparingly. But, you know, a lot of things in the world are about perception, you know?
Yeah.
So we don't believe that there's clones. We don't believe that because we don't feel like we have the technology. But
check out B.O.B. talking about clones also.
You'll go,
interesting stuff.
What if I lost 2 legs? Well, we can give you 2 legs. Well, what about 2 arms? I can give you 2 arms. Okay, well, what about the heart? Yeah, no problem. What about the like, we're already...
Yeah. All you'd have to do is make a clone brain
I think
dead.
also like a lot of this has the whole transhumanist agenda. And when it comes to accepting AI technology, as almost seeing it like as human.
My father tried to teach me human emotions.
You mean you're a designer?
And for any of us who've seen the movie Ex Machina, when the robot like actually passes the Turing test and then no one realizes that like this thing is a robot living in the real world, you have the whole ChatGPT, you have people taking advice from ChatGPT and from all these other AI sources. And as Paul Staub spoke about when he came out on my podcast, this idea of the demons are actually the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim who are looking for a body to inhabit. So could this AI and could this robot technology be this way of creating life without actually having a man and a woman and God ultimately working together to create life? Possibly. So could the Smurfs be alluding to this, and could they be programming us to accept this as the new way? And then you also have like the IVF technology. You have all this new technology being used to create human life. And furthermore, what's another trend that we see going on these days? Low fertility rates in both men and women. So could they be getting us ready for creating life through other means? Something to think about. Next up, we have 2 really interesting clips when it comes to the movie Finding Nemo from this
It
guy.
took me 21 years to realize this about Finding Nemo. So we all grew up watching Finding Nemo, and in the beginning of the movie, we can see a barracuda eating the eggs of Marlin and his wife. But I did some research, and you won't like what I found out. As it turns out, barracudas don't actually eat clownfish eggs, but larger fish. And they are typically found in open water instead of coral reefs. So that means the barracuda didn't actually eat the eggs. It was someone else. And this is the creepy part. Do you know which type of fish likes to eat clownfish eggs? Clownfishes. Clownfishes are known to eat their own eggs and also their own babies. And Marlin's wife wanted to name the last egg Nemo, meaning nobody. She ate all the eggs and wanted to eat Nemo too, so Marlin made up this whole story of the barracuda to shield himself and Nemo from his wife. My childhood is ruined.
Wow, that's some crazy stuff. So clownfish are eating their own eggs. So then this idea of Nemo being no one, and Marlin creates this whole story to hide Nemo from his wife ate all the other eggs. Some crazy stuff right there. And then the second Nemo clip.
It took me 19 years to realize this crazy connection in Finding Nemo. So we all know that all the Disney movies are somehow connected. And in this scene where we get to know the sharks, we learn that Bruce never met his father.
Never knew my father. Come here.
But what if I told you we know who actually unalived his father? I found out who it was, and you won't like my answer. It was Mr. Incredible. So, in this scene in The Incredibles, on the side of the desk, we can see a picture of Mr. Incredible holding a white shark. And when Mr. Incredible holds this newspaper, we can see that even the time frame fits. And we know that Mr. Incredible plays in the exact same universe as Finding Nemo. because during this aquarium scene in Finding Nemo, we can see this kid in the waiting room reading a comic which features Mr. Incredible.
Wow.
I cannot believe how cool these movies are connected.
These connections are crazy. So, like, for those of you who never knew this, like, every single Pixar movie actually has one object or one thing in it that actually connects it to the other Pixar movies. And Mr. Incredible may have killed Bruce's father, may have unalived Bruce's father. That's some crazy stuff right there. And guys, I'm probably going to do 3 more clips for this episode, even though I actually have so many to cover.
You ever been down the Paramount
Mountain rabbit hole?
Watch these 22 stars go and hover over the waters and then congregate over the Paramount. Para
We've all seen the
what?
Paramount movie
means breath.
Or TV show logo.
Breath means what? Well, breath means spirit, and it hovered over the waters in Genesis.
Para means breath.
So we
spirit.
have, count them, 22 stars, Paramount, Paranormal Mountain. What could be the Paranormal Mountain? Well, I'll tell you what, it's Mount Hermon. What's crazy is, in the book of Enoch, 200 angels fell on Mount Hermon and congregated, and there was 22 leaders that were named. Enoch chapter 6, and you can pause and read, but 200 angels, 22 of those were named, and these are all the angels that fell down and congregated at Mount Hermon to talk about how they were going to basically take over the world with unrighteousness. I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. I'll give you the opportunity to pause and read all of this, because in Enoch chapter 6 through 10, there's some interesting
Book of Enoch
things
is also like
that I
one of
personally
the lost
feel like
books
speak to
that
what's
most people
going on
don't
right
know about
now.
or don't talk about.
And when it comes to stars, Revelation 9 talks about a star fell from heaven and he was given the key to the bottomless pit. And Revelation 9:11 talks about Apollyon. Mount Hermon means the mountain of the chief. What chief? Could it be that chief star that looked like lightning falling from heaven? Hey, Yeshua saw it. It's so funny
Satan
that
falling from heaven.
falling stars are referred to as angels.
Satan is known as the fallen
angels
angel,
referred to
also
as
possibly.
stars. And you got this Paramount with 22 of these named stars, and the name Hermon meaning devoted to destruction, and in German it means soldier. So this is the mountain of the chief, where 22 soldiers met to talk about destruction. And it's so weird that celebrities are called stars. And there's the Hollywood Walk of Fame with all of these stars that are named. I'm wondering if these fallen angels have inhabited bodies and taken over to bring more destruction.
This comes back
to
to
the
what I was
earth,
saying
'cause it
before when it
seems
comes
that
to the idea of
Hollywood and the
disembodied
music
spirits of
industry,
Nephilim
they all
looking for
promote
bodies.
unrighteousness and ungodliness, and it's like they're trying to spread it across the world. And if this Paramount is paying homage to this situation that happened in the book of Enoch, well, then that would have to mean that they know exactly what they are doing, and they're doing it on purpose. This is just the tip of the iceberg, because every 22 of these leader angels that are named, their names have meanings. They lead the 200 fallen angels that bring unrighteousness to the world. All the evil, the freaking magic, and all this crazy stuff that's going on. Superb owl, rituals, and all this creepy Masonic ritual. Oh, did you know that Mount Hermon is actually on the 33-degree north longitude? 33. Oh, and 1/3 of the angels fell with Lucifer, and 1/3 out of 100% just so happens to be 33.33%. This is
Damn.
just to get you started.
Clearly, Masonic rituals going on. Clearly, a nod to Satan. All these Hollywood people know exactly what they're doing. That's why you have this idea of predictive programming. That's why you have all these weird Hollywood rituals being carried out. That's why you have all this nods to worshipping Saturn and Moloch. Scary stuff right there. Paramount isn't what you think it is. Shout out to 7 Leaf Clover, I think his name is, on TikTok. Covered that beautifully. Interesting stuff. Next up, we have a clip talking about Disney Pixar reveals this idea of the firmament. Let's see.
6 years prior to the release of Toy Story, Pixar released a short film called Knick Knack.
I actually never saw
hot
this.
Location after hot location, where all the knickknacks have on sunglasses. Then they take you to a land far away towards the edge of the shelf. They call it Nome, Alaska, but they make the pun Nome, Sweet Nome, showing you that this is your home. This character's not wearing sunglasses because he's at the edge of the world, where the sun barely reaches, the coldest place on Earth, Antarctica. He finds the edge, just like we did in Operation Deep Freeze. Then he proceeds to drill, just like they did in Russia. Then he tries to blow it up, just like we did over the Pacific Ocean.
That's some deep stuff. Oh my god. Operation Fishbowl, you've Operation Deep Freeze, all these operations that ultimately confirm the firmament being real here. Operation Fishbowl. And this woman ends up in a fishbowl.
You see here how he actually did escape from his own suit. Beyond that, he would be in water. Pixar obviously got the attention of
Water above, water below, as above, so below.
Disney Studios has released every single Pixar movie. After all, Disney Studios filmed Operation Deep Freeze, and Walt Disney is an honorary member because he was there when they found the firmament.
Walt Disney is also part of the 33rd Club as part of Disney, and he was also heavily connected to and best friends with Wernher von Braun, founder of NASA, also one of Hitler's right-hand men, who created NASA in this effort to deceive us, make us think that space is just like this endless thing above us as opposed to outward space beyond Antarctica, beyond the ice walls. But like the firmament, as many of us know, or as I believe, is above and below us. We've never been able to get beyond certain points, but like where I do disagree with this clip is that I don't think that there's this dome necessarily that we can't penetrate beyond east or west. I think that there's actually more land beyond Antarctica, and I believe that there's definitely hidden resources beyond there, as Admiral Byrd spoke about. I'm not sure how far the land goes, but like, I do believe that, as Sean Hibbler said when he came on the podcast, as he believes, we're essentially in a lake that's surrounded by this ice wall. That's what's holding in the water. But he believes, and I believe too, like there could be hundreds of other lakes, there could be thousands, there could be infinite other lakes beyond this one. And they're hiding the resources to keep us imprisoned here basically, so that this way the controllers could convince us that everything is limited, and therefore it's up to them to make sure that we don't run out, and that's you imprison the mind, because I believe that the spinning ball model is actually a prison for the mind essentially. And now the final clip I want to talk about is from my online friends who came on the podcast recently. Such a nice guy, such a genuine down-to-earth guy, such a genuine down-to-earth flat earther, Tyler Hansen, aka the fittest flat earther. He speaks about how he found a dragon, and the evidence is pretty compelling. Let's watch.
So, I found a dragon, and I'm not even joking. And not only did I find a dragon, but I found a dragon in the United States the size of a state.
Size of a
Now,
state.
you might think I'm crazy, but if you watch this video, I'm going to provide
I'm
you
only going to play
solid
some of
evidence
this because
to the point where
it is a
you're gonna
long
know
video.
There were dragons. It all started a few days information for myself, so I zoomed all the way in, and I found these patterns, and they were everywhere, and they just go on forever and forever. And that's a card,
So
just
for
so you
those
can
of
get
you,
a scale again.
so for those of you who are just
look
listening,
at these. They're
there's all
forever,
these scales
forever,
basically.
and they're all just like the squareness of them. They're too coincidental to what a reptile scale looks like to me.
Looking like reptile
so what I
scales.
wanted to do was I saw this, and then I wanted to zoom out and see if I can get a bigger thing, but I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything. Didn't see anything, and I was like, oh, I give up. And then all of a sudden, there it was.
Bang! There it is.
Now you might not see it at first.
It looks like a Charizard basically from Pokemon.
So
the
look at
outline
red. We're looking
of
at
the
red
area
here.
looks like a
Here's
dragon.
a wing. Okay, so a giant wing. Here's its torso going up to its neck, and then its head is right here. And then another wing, and then so we got body, wing, neck, and then I'm gonna show you its head, and it's crazy. All right, so I really want you to see this. And over here is the head, so I circled the head. All right, so here's the whole thing. Wing. I'm gonna zoom in on the head here and just wait till you see this. Okay, so here's its head. Here would be its bottom jaw. Look, you can literally see its teeth, even molars here. And then look at this. more teeth over here, but wait till I show you what I found. And I found this after I saw this. So again, I just really want you to see that those rock formations look exactly like what petrified crocodile scales would look like. Exactly. And these scales go on forever. Literally forever. Miles and miles and miles. Now here's where it gets even crazier. There's a place.
This is actually the craziest part of all of it.
Around where the dragon's
place
chest
in the area
called Fern's Nipple. And I want to show you this place.
I'm skipping around, guys. I apologize for this.
Look at the name of the trail by the giant dragon.
The name of the trail by the dragon head is called Black Dragon Canyon Trailhead and Black Dragon Canyon. You're hiding the truth in plain sight, as Tyler said. Anyways, guys, I found this to be super compelling. I think it's interesting how we're told that the dinosaurs were here, but dragons are a myth. But then you have the zodiac clock, where every other animal on that clock is a real animal, but then dragons were told are real. You have all the street signs in Europe that are named after dragons. You have the Chinese dragon festivals, and you have this clear image of a dragon in the United States. Interesting stuff. Anyways, guys, I hope that you guys found this video interesting. I hope that you guys found all these rabbit holes interesting. If you like this video, make sure to check out all my other rabbit hole roundups. Make sure to check out all my hard truths videos, where I do even further deep dives into some of these hard truth topics. Anyways, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Be sure to drop a like, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.